Welcome to A 30-Minute Life. My name is Robert Joyce, and in this episode I'm going to share some experience that I've had of chronic illness. I'm hoping that by sharing my experience, you will have a better experience of chronic illness. Today I'm going to read my blog post from May 17th, 2020, and the title of it is Fear, Is It Reasonable to Be So Afraid? Surrounded by terrible news, on the TV the presenters are asking, when will this lockdown stop? Can we survive this? Or the world is in crisis. The economists are predicting global recession, and some are talking about a depression. There are websites counting the deaths. YouTube has channels urging us to prepare for the worst, stockpiling food, medicines, and advocating resistance. It is everywhere, and it leads to fear, anxiety, and depression. It is very gloomy. Against this backdrop of tales of Armageddon, I, like many others with chronic illness, have to stay at home, avoiding all contact with the outside world. My lungs are ill-equipped for congestion brought on by this small virus, SARS-CoV-2. Already I have to use medicines to keep me breathing normally. And the prospect of having to go to hospital has added extra grey to my already balding scalp. 3 weeks ago, I had to go see a specialist about the worsening of my MS. The solitary journey to and stay in hospital has resulted in a significant improvement in my walking, almost normal, and I can now walk at a pace which is half the rate of someone who has no illness. For me, this is paradise. Walking is essential, and the weather in Connemara has been glorious since this confinement started back in mid-March. Every day since I returned, I have walked, either with the aid of my FES device or my new hip flexor assist device. My hip flexors have been very sore, a very good sign, and my legs now have the joyous pain associated with being used and not the cramping of spasticity. What can I do now to maintain my mobility? Knowing I cannot return to the swimming pool soon, I have been thinking, what can I do to get some cardiovascular exercise? I must get my heart rate up, and my walking doesn't achieve this goal. Searching for a recumbent exercise bike which will help my legs, I found a lack of supply. This is a consequence of this pandemic. Physiotherapy isn't an option, the gym is forbidden, and walking doesn't achieve the goal of a rapidly beating heart. These restrictions have led me down the path of looking at some equipment to exercise my upper body, which, thankfully, doesn't suffer from any ill effects from my MS. Again, supplies are limited, and the only ones available are at the cheaper end of the scale, and my fear, again this evil word, is I would rapidly outgrow the limited weights used by these machines. Maybe dumbbells or kettlebells could be an option. I've one kettlebell, and using this I have been able to get my heart rate racing a little bit faster. Positive, and it gives me another way of resolving two issues: heart health and upper body strength. On Friday, I was using this orange 8-kilogram bell doing an around the world movement. I think I did 8 of them, plus some squats using this extra load. I did 5, and we also went for a walk. Things are moving in the right direction. Much better ability to walk, cardio and strength exercises using weights. I was a happy man on Friday, and I had a plan to buy an exercise bike I found online. My world falls apart. Yesterday, this wonderful world I had built crumbled. We started our walk into the wind, so it would push me on the way back, and the ability I had gathered back to me seemed to be blown away by this westerly wind. I had to stop and turn around, 2/3 towards my usual turning spot. My partner continued on. Her turning place was another 450 meters. My 350-metre return journey took the same time it took my partner to walk 1,250 metres. I thought I would never get back to the car. My shuffle had returned and I feared the steroids had lost their effect. This was bad, and then my headache had worsened. That morning was a little worse, and it became so bad I had to go back to bed after lunch. The whole right side of my face felt like the fist of Thanos was closing around it, crushing my skull. When this pain comes, I cannot do anything. Reading anything more than a few sentences is a struggle. Light is like swords in my eyes. Food tastes like cardboard. It is horrible, and I have nothing which relieves it. I took my Sativex early and it stopped the escalation. Last night I slept for 11 hours. The day had stolen all my energy and more. This morning when I woke up, it was to a grey, damp day. Sullen, morose, sad. Was I back to the person I was before I went to get the treatment? Start over again. I am still drained, but I had my breakfast and then I did my meditation and wrote my journal. Yesterday is the past now. Today is a new day and I will not push myself even a little just to help replenish my lost spoons. Yesterday was just a day and I think I had pushed myself too far on Friday. I did too much and my body responded. Today, the rebuilding starts again. At the start of this post, I was writing about the fear in society, or maybe it is the fear we are being presented by the media, politicians and the financial world. This illness could infect my life, stopping me from going to get medical help, either the doctor or hospital, or even to find a way of accessing some therapy to help my body recover. The only way to get physiotherapy is to be admitted into hospital. In my small world, I need to protect myself from this fear, which may be worse than the pandemic, because I must focus on what I can do, and if I must be creative to resolve external restrictions, then that is what I shall do. It won't be easy, but I need to be physically and mentally fit to give myself the best chance of maintaining my health, or at least to slow its decline. I need a vaccine to combat and beat fear. That was written a couple of weeks ago, and today, as I'm recording this, is the 29th of June, and the restrictions are lifted, so people can go about and do what they normally did. Though they do have to maintain their social distancing, and that 1 meter or 2 meters, it seems to be changing all the time, and masks, they'll wear them or not wear them. So the circumstance or the world has changed a bit, or it would appear to have, but for me, there is no change. The virus is still out in the world, and the threat of me getting the virus is just as real as it was a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And the impact it could have on me and my life could be devastating. That hasn't changed, hasn't altered one bit. So I am figuring out my life in pandemic land, and I have to be self-sufficient at home. I cannot go out and do the things that I would like to do that would be beneficial for my general health. So things like physiotherapy, as I said in my post, I don't have access to. And I used to swim in the local pool, but I can't do that anymore. So I'm still looking for exercise equipment. I do have a recumbent bike at the moment. It's a smaller one, and it keeps my legs moving, but there's no resistance in it. And so I'm not building strength. That's a problem. I have no upper body exercise equipment, and I was using the kettlebell, but the biggest issue with that is I have to stand, and my legs just aren't up to standing for more than a couple of movements, and so I don't get that long extended exercise that I need. So I'm still looking for something with that. And every place that I have gone to, they're out of stock, they're waiting for new supplies, and they don't know when new supplies are coming in. Now, I could buy something from Spain or somewhere else around Europe, but I want to buy Irish. I want to support local industry. I want to support local businesses. So I'm waiting. So in the meantime, I have to find something else to do to maintain my strength. Now, my my ability to walk really was compromised because of the pain medication that I was taking after that trip to hospital. And I stopped taking that, as I had shared with you before, and my walking has improved. It has generally been getting better, which is fantastic. And yesterday I went for a walk. Yes. And that walk lasted for about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, which I was using my functional electrical stimulation device. That was fantastic. Now, it was on the level, it was flat, and there was a little bit of a hill towards the end, and that was difficult, but I could get out and I could walk, and it was great. And maybe today, even though it's a bit of a damp, dreary day, maybe I'll get out again. The fear is still out there. It hasn't changed. The world has not changed despite it opening up again. And the risks that I have haven't altered. So my behavior cannot change despite what's happening in the rest of the world. And that situation is true for many people with MS, but other chronic illnesses that are susceptible to a weakened immune system that could make them more at risk of severe complications of COVID-19. I'm not unique in this. I'm nothing special. I'm nothing different from other people with chronic illness. The one thing that I'm fearful of is the behavior of other people. And I'm listening to people complaining about having to wear masks or to socially distance, and their freedoms have been robbed and stolen. And I just think, do they not have elderly relatives? Do they not have friends that have some kind of illness? And these are the same people that when they get into a car will put on a seatbelt because they were told that they must, because it will help to save not only their life in an accident, but also the lives of passengers in their car. But that's acceptable for some reason, and wearing a mask is not. I don't understand this, and I just don't understand. So those people are making my life restricted, and I just have to get over that. I cannot dwell on the fact that others are impacting my life in that way. But that has been my life with chronic illness. That has been my life with disability. Other people's behavior limit my ability to do things. So I just have to manage in the meantime. And I have to also control that I don't become filled with fear, overwhelmed by anxiety and stress about what's happening in the world. Because if I do, my life will become hell. And it will become, I will devolve into some kind of depression. So I have to keep all of that out there in a different place, away from me. And I have to keep that fear away from me. So I control my life. I control who I see, who I don't see, and where I go. And I won't be seeing people in person. And I don't know how long that's going to last. It could last another month, 6 months, a year, I don't know. But that's my life. And that's the life of people with chronic illness. Anyway, thank you for listening. If you could you please subscribe? It would help me. My name is Robert Joyce, and this is a 30-minute life, my life with multiple sclerosis. And I hope that by listening to this, you don't feel as alone.